Welcome to the Villa Pride Down Under podcast, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you from Australia. Our usual trio here, Spud, Tess and Rhino. How are you, boys?
Good, mate.
Hey,
Good.
how are
How are
you?
you?
Very, very, very good. Very, very good. I seen a comment from Mark Goldbridge, who obviously is a kind of looks for dramatic stuff anyway, but he's got a huge following on YouTube, big United fan. His channel is massive. I seen him do a tweet last night that he said Aston Villa are single-handedly saving the Premier League with their attacking football and all that. None of this tiki-tacky, too many tactic stuff. He said they've become by far and wide the most entertaining team in the league to watch. Huh?
Hey,
He's a bit of a clown, but he's a huge following. And then I read the comments under that after, and like all fans of all different clubs are saying, yeah, brilliant to watch. Because we've been on at 5:30 a few times now this season already. So we're starting to catch the imagination of a lot of the fans, which I think is very interesting. So
well, do you
I'm
know
sure
what? And Man United fans actually got something right for a change, and that's really, really good. Really happy for him. hey, I agree with you, buddy. I agree with you 100%. Watching Aston Villa at the moment is actually a real joy to watch, even if they go behind. You just know that the way that they play football, they've definitely got an opportunity to come back, don't you? Hey. So good on him.
Absolutely. Right
Really
now,
glad for Man United fans talking sense. Yeah.
yeah. And this guy doesn't usually talk too much sense. He actually really understands. He really understands football, but he actually usually goes for the kind of attention kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
When he's on the Filescast, the Ben Foster's podcast, actually, he talks more sense, you know what I mean? Because he's not looking for hits and stuff. He's talking about football. So he definitely understands football. But I just thought it was interesting. Aston Villa's Unai Emery and Unai Emery are single-handedly saving the Premier League when it comes to entertaining football. I thought it was brilliant.
Love it.
Right now, the lineup comes out. Do you want to talk to us through that?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I wasn't surprised with that they sort of went with Bogard again. I know there's a bit of talk on Twitter of his first game and a little bit of criticism of him, but I think if you're going to get these guys in and give them a run of games, that's what they need. Starting at right back, obviously we know Matty Cash is going to be out for a bit. Pretty much straightforward back four then, isn't it, with Martinez in the back five. Leon Bailey being out and Ramsey coming in. I'm not sure what the diagnosis is with Bailey, but obviously he's a big miss for us. But I was happy to see JJ get a start, to be honest. He's looked good in the first few games. It's nice to see him get a start. But other than that, it was pretty much what I expected, to be honest with you. I didn't expect too many changes. And I'm just happy to see they are putting a little bit of faith in Bogard and giving him some minutes because we're going to need him going forwards. And, yeah, a nice deep squad. But, yeah, not too many surprises for me on that front. I kind of expected we'd go with pretty much same, just with the injuries, just a few changes there.
Tess, what about yourself? Any surprise in the lineup? Was there anything that you were cut off with?
No surprises for me. I kind of expected to be that lineup. I think I'm not sure where the criticism for Bogard came last time because he's a youngster who's come into the side. I think he's normally a midfielder. During pre-season, he played in centre back, and then he starts the Premier League because we've got an injury at right back. And I thought he did a really good job for the best part of 70, 80 minutes in the last game before he got taken off. And he would have been knackered playing at that level. And so he deserved a place in the team for me. And I think even in this game against Everton, I think he did a really, really good job. I've got no doubts about it. Like, I felt like he looked assured more in the second half, I would say. In the first half, he was just doing his job. I think he started to get a bit more expressive in the second half. But I can see why Emery's chosen him to be at right back because he's filled in that slot quite well, and not many people were beating him at all against Everton. I expected the same with the rest of the lineup, to be honest. I expected Ramsey to play. I expected John McGinn to play as well, although I wasn't quite sure where and how they would play. He would play McGinn, Ramsey, and Rodgers. To be honest, I thought there might be a little bit more of a mix-up I was thinking that perhaps he might try to go with JJ through the middle and then Rodgers on the left or something like that, and McGinn on the right. But yeah, other than that, yeah, the lineup was pretty predictable, and I think I probably got all the team right on my what's that thing that we do, that fan hub
the
thing?
fan hub, yeah.
Yeah, so I probably got all that right as well.
Confession, boys. After Spud's reminder, I bloody got so busy last night with the kids, I forgot to put my team in. So I obviously had Cash and Bailey still in my team. Confession.
But we forgive you, right now. I'll be honest, lads. I thought that I actually thought Duran would start this game because I wasn't sure if Ollie was going to be fit, to be honest, especially after leaving the England camp. Now I'm beginning to think he must have got an old whisper in the shoulder. If you get a chance to pull out, we'll have you back on form. And thankfully he did start, but we'll get into that after. No, I actually thought Duran would start. Bogard, I wasn't too sure. But what I will notice about the difference though against Leicester, Digne was kind of the one sitting back and Bogard was pushing on a lot more. It was definitely role reversed in this game. So maybe Emery had told them maybe to concentrate a bit more on the defensive side of things and settle into it a bit more this time, because Bogard wasn't getting forward near as much as he was in the Leicester game. So, and Digne was pushing really high up. We started the game pretty well, lads. I must say, it was one of those games where in the first 10 minutes you're thinking, now we're at it here. I thought we were very good. Everton quickly started going into a low block, didn't they? I was surprised at how quickly they went into the block. I know they threw away a 3-goal lead against Bournemouth the week before, so he obviously had to kind of get a bit of confidence back in his team defensively. But were you surprised at how defensive they were, like that quickly, like sitting 11 men back? Like they did it like that first 10 minutes, they didn't want to show anything at all, or do you think it was just pure caution? Like,
I just think they're probably a bit scarred from that Bournemouth game. And coming to Villa, they know we're going to start really well at home and probably thinking, let's just try and keep the crowd quiet and just try and ride out the first 20, 30 minutes without much going on. And I, to be honest with you, I wasn't too surprised at how defensive they were looking at their lineup. And you look at Tim Hirugbunam was in there, sitting in there. Ghana Gay was in there as well. So I knew they were going to be quite compact and solid in the middle. And then, the likes of Harrison, Dwight McNeil, they're just going to work hard. And they're just, they're typical sort of Sean Dyche team for me, and a lot of workhorses. So I did expect it to be a bit of a tough game. And I wasn't expecting us to have quite as many chances early on, really, and sort of as much possession. I thought we'd struggle a little bit to break Everton down. We did make some clear-cut chances, we just couldn't take them. And then all of a sudden, 2-0 down out of nowhere, commanding, the play and bossing possession and looking very, very comfortable and thinking this is going to be a good day for us. And all of a sudden, 2-0 down. And it's the oldest fixture in the league. It's probably put a few years on me, to be honest with you, after going 2-0 down, a few grey hairs. But not too surprised with how defensive Everton were, to be honest.
But what kind of surprised me, they were always going to be defensive, but in that first 10 minutes, Dwight McNeil or Jack Harrison didn't even pass the halfway line. I couldn't believe it. They were literally just boxed back from the behind line. They gave themselves no out ball at all, which is a very dangerous game to play. I think you're invited, especially with Villa having so many runners on the pitch. I thought it was a bit strange. You expect them to sit with 2 blocks of 4, but then to not get to not try and get the wingers involved at all. They had no out ball. Even when they did win the ball, they had nowhere to go. I don't remember a meaningful attack from them in that first 15 minutes test, do you?
No, I don't actually. I don't remember anything of substance at all anyway, to be honest. It was interesting because I felt like we had full control in the game before the goal. It didn't look like they could score a goal. It just looked like we were controlling the game. But at the same time, I don't think we looked threatening either, to be honest. We're having domination of the ball. I don't really feel like we were attacking goal enough for whatever reason it may be, and it may have been because they had the low block and whatever it was. Onana was poor in that first half, wasn't he? Really, he was.
Never got into it, did he?
He didn't get into it.
That's okay.
No, and players have a great game every single game. I did in my mind though before this game wonder whether he would go into this game and be able to go and show why he's cost £50 million and gone to Aston Villa and going to play Champions League, or whether he was not really going to perform to his top level against his former club. And I always get those kind of feelings when a player returns to their club. Sometimes, you get a player, they go back to their club and they're all up for it and they want to show why they should not have left that club or why they should be at another club. And I don't think Onana did that in the first half. And I think Emery was right to take him off. I felt like he poor is not the right word. Sorry, it's not the right word. It was just laboured. It didn't feel like he was trying to penetrate enough, and defensively didn't seem like across it all. So not poor. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say he was poor, but he wasn't having the best day, was he? Like, he was just not having the best day against his former club. And disappointing in that case, and so that they didn't have much to go on, and it was obviously his mistake that led to their first goal, which I don't think it was really a bad challenge and enough for you to go on the floor. And when he did, he was kind of looking up on the floor to see where the ball was going and travelling after that, and he just didn't do his job on that moment. So
it's not a foul in a million years, like. No,
not for me.
He needs to be stronger there. And credit to Dwight McNeil as well, like, because I thought he really put himself about in that challenges there and stuff early on. He was probably the only one giving anything for Everton up to that point anyway. Like,
Dwight McNeil's a good player, and that's why Sean Dyche trusts players like Dwight McNeil. He trusts players like the Tarkovskis and all this kind of stuff, because they're going to give him a bit of that aggression that he likes to have in his football. I looked at Everton yesterday and I just saw Burnley, to be honest. Like, I looked at Everton while we were playing and dominating the game, and all I could see was Burnley. And even though they had gone up 2-0 at this time, I was looking at them and I was just like, boys, this is Burnley. Like, surely with all this, with dominating the game, they can't get near us with the ball. We just need to show a bit more attacking prowess.
And just defensively, though, as well, isn't it? I think both goals were really poor. And that's the one thing that's probably stood out for me first few games of the season is defensively. I don't think we've looked particularly on it. And I think both goals today were sort of typical of what I've seen so far this season, quite poor. Like the first goal, like you say, Onana gets robbed of possession. He's got to be stronger there, and he's got to know he's going to be under pressure taking the ball there. You don't get any, free time. And then the second goal is a free header in the 6-yard box, and it's like, who's marking Calvert-Lewin? You know what I mean? They're big striker. How are you?
He was a handful all day, though, wasn't he? He was a handful.
He was. He's a good striker on his day, but you can't be having free headers in the box like that, and there's no one near him. And I'm just thinking, both goals for me were really sloppy, and like you said, we sort of dominated play up until that point, and then we find ourselves 2-0 down. But against better teams, like you say, you're going to get punished all day, and you're not coming back from it, are you, really, against the good teams in the league? But that's one thing for me that sort of stood out a little bit. I think we've just been a little bit sloppy at the back, and I don't know whether that's going to change because Carlos is back on the bench today. Whether we look to sort of push Konza at the right back, and then Carlos back in the centre back to maybe shore it up a little bit, but. Even, there was some instance in the second half where Pau Torres gets muscled off the ball by Calvert-Lewin and just not strong enough at the moment, I feel, at the back. I feel like we're getting a bit out-muscled back there.
You don't think we're strong enough at the back at the minute, like in terms of like physical strength?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, today, I feel like Calvert-Lewin, he's a big, strong striker, but I think sometimes that's probably his Pau Torres, weakness. I love him as a player, absolutely love him, and brilliant on the ball, and he is, he gets us ticking, Pau Torres, but the one-on-one defending when there's a big striker going through, I feel like we've sort of been lacking a little bit in recent weeks, and I think that's something we've got to look at. But a free header in the 6-yard box, it's no good.
I think like say in the first first phase again before we conceded the goals, I thought Yuri Tillemans and Luca Dean were very, very good, man. I was very impressed, and particularly Yuri Tillemans. He's just so good in the ball. Just to touch off your point, Tess, about Onana. They done a job on him really, because he's not really good in tight spaces. He's not got this nimble footwork or really good control. He's really good when the ball went, like against Arsenal and that, when there's space around, very ball dominant. But they packed that midfield with Irabunum, Ghana Gay. They had they had three in there at one point. I can't remember who their third midfielder was anyway, but they made it really, really. Dwight McNeil was dropping back in there to help him, so they almost had four in the centre midfield at times, and there was no space there. And he's not got the most nimble of touches on, and I'm not going to knock him, because everyone's entitled to a bad game, and not every game is going to suit a player. And of course, you have to remember too, Everton know Onana's strengths and weaknesses better than anybody. So if they're going to be able to mark anybody out of that game, it's going to be him, because they know what makes it. It's not like Unai Emery's completely transformed this player in 4 games. He's still going to have some strengths and weaknesses. So to be able to mark him out of the game is probably going to be easier than any of the Villa players. So I'll never hold that against him. He's not going to play against a team that know him so well every week, So he was right. It was right to take him off, because Ross Barkley, we won't get too far ahead, but Ross Barkley comes in perfect time. Someone who can take the ball into tight spaces. And I thought it was the right substitution at the right time. And it goes to show that Emery, when he does have strength on the bench, he will make big decisions, Last year, obviously, he didn't have that option, but he does this year, so that's a very big positive. Luca Dean, I know we've kind of waxed lyrical a lot about Luca Dean this season on this podcast, but he's impressing me more and more, even though he should be coming to the end of his Villa career. I think he's getting better, if anything, in the system. He was a threat throughout.
From France.
Yeah, he was a threat throughout, man. And
I agree. I thought JJ and Luca Dean in the first half, particularly, I thought they were linking up really well, and I just think Luca Dean's movement was causing Everton so many problems. Like the little give and goes with JJ, it sort of died off in the second half for him. But I agree. I think he was brilliant and just a real outlet for us, wasn't he? Getting forward and just pinning them back.
There was you could see Rodgers and Watkins were getting a little bit frustrated at each other here and there for not leaving the pass go, and I think Watkins was just desperate to get in the score sheet, because there's one there. It was Luca Dean. He pulled the ball back, and it was just teeing up lovely for Morgan Rodgers just to meet it, and Watkins just snatched at it and put it wide, and Rodgers went at him, but you could just see at that point he was desperate for a goal. And then there was a lovely little ball through from Tillemans as well, and Rodgers made a lovely little run, and his first touch, I thought he was going to take it down beautifully and finish it, but he did touch with an old trampoline. The boys kind of bounced away from him, but our off-ball running was causing them all kinds of trouble. And when you have someone as good at passing as Yuri Tillemans from deep, he's just picking runners all the time. You run, he will find you, or he'll at least see you and make the attempt to find you. So again, it was just typical of a couple of the games this season where we started really well, and then we just gifted them a chance back into the game. Ala West Ham, Leicester, just games that we Everton were off for nothing. I think after 6 minutes, 4 minutes, if you'd offered Sean Dyche and all, he would have taken it. That's what it looked to me. He'll say after that he set up and our game plan was working perfectly and stuff, but I think he got a bit lucky, because I don't think he came to play off attacking like that on the counter at all, because he didn't have his fullback or his wingers high he had them back defending. Jack Harrison spent more time back helping the fullback or Ashley Young than he did anywhere up the pitch before they got that goal.
NDI, I think the other guy was NDI or something like that.
Yeah, he's a busy little player, isn't he? He gave Bogart no time at all. He was running at him, but I think Sean, that's why I was saying to you a while ago, Ryan, that I was wondering why they were so defensive, because I don't think he'll say after, because they got 2 goals, game plan was working, but I don't think he had that game. But I think if they didn't score that goal, he would have sat with that 11 back the whole game and tried to take it. And that might be clever after throwing away a lead. He might be just thinking, get some points on the board, because they didn't have any points. And Villa, as only Villa can, we managed to gift wrap them a goal and then re-gift wrap them another goal 6 minutes later. So I'm going to talk about the goal for a second, because I actually think Onana got too comfortable at that stage. We were knocking the ball around, and I think he just got overconfident because it was lazy what he did, because he had plenty of time to move that ball. I know, credit to Dwight McNeil, he did close it down well and he working hard. But if you see it, Onana didn't need to take an extra touch there at all. He had 3 options around him. but I think he just got comfortable, and we were comfortable at that stage. So it was a great finish, because I've seen online people saying that Martinez should have got there. She didn't even see it. She went straight through Kansas' legs, curled around him. Oh yeah. Sometimes, like, as Villa fans, like, you forget to give the other team credit. Like, and I looked at that and I just thought, yeah, brilliant win. Onana messed up, but brilliant win and finish like that. Have that confidence to win the ball and drive at the goal and then finish like that. Sometimes you just have to say great goal.
It was a good finish.
Yeah,
it was a good finish.
Like, I seen someone comment earlier, if that was Olsen, we'd be hammering him, and he's probably right. But like they were saying, Martinez was too slow getting down. But like, you can't see that. Like, he
wouldn't have been able to see that.
He's picked that and put it in a spot that's just, I don't know, like you can't get a better finish than that, can you? Bottom corner, like where he's put that, really. Like you say, Martinez is a bit unsighted, and it's just a perfect finish for me.
That's a Jermaine Defoe finish, taking it early before the keeper set. You know, just when
Rashford scored a goal like that today, last night. Sorry, which was a little bit similar, finding that very bottom corner.
I'm with Rhino on this, though. I think the first goal, it's not going to be the last time we can see the goal like that, because that's just how we play. We take these risks where we're knocking around the back, and Kamara has been caught with it a few times. Luis has. That's just the nature of the beast of the game we play. So we're going to see goals like that conceded. It's going to work for us more than we're going to. So I'm not so worried about the first goal. The second goal, I'm 100% with Rhino. This has to stop. Like, if you're coming up against Sean Dyche's Everton and you're doing your threat meetings in the build-up to the games, what's the one thing you're going to... Don't be giving away a silly freeze around the box. That's their biggest threat. We were giving away a silly little freeze in our half, because we were rattled for a little while after that second goal, or that first goal. We just kind of caught us off guard.
Yeah.
And we gave away loads of little fouls then, just trying to wrestle control of the game back when we didn't need that. Like we kind of almost said to Everton, go and score a second, because Everton would have happily retreated again after getting the goal, because they weren't expecting it. But that they left it to each other, because if you look at it, Tielemans, Konsa and Pau Torres, there's absolutely no communication between the three of them, and Calvert-Lewin's just standing there on his own. And when it was too late, I think it was Pau Torres jumps with him. She's never getting near him. And then they all just stick up the hand in. But I thought it was really poor defending, to be honest. And we give them credit. We give credit for the set pieces every week. But we're going to concede. That's not going to be the last one. And then we concede unless we get stuff together. And after that, then I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin kind of felt like that he had Pau Torres in his pocket, because he just kept at him after that. He just kept pulling into him. And Pau Torres had a really poor game. We're not going to hammer him, because I think he's had a really good start to the season. But I think if you had more fit centre-backs on the pitch, on the bench at that stage, because we didn't have any fit centre-back, because Carlos was just coming back, Mings was in the stands. I think Torres would have been taken off at half-time, if I'm honest, had it been, because he was getting nothing from Calvert-Lewin. Right, so even as wound up as I was getting there, watching the game, I was still even saying to myself, if we get a goal before halftime, we'll go on and win this, because I just thought we were so far ahead of them in levels of standard of football. I think, we're a miles better team than them, and that's not being cocky or anything. Like, when we settled and knocked the ball around, like, we were going to create chances. So, do you want to talk to us about the goal, Tess? They made it 2-1.
It was Ollie.
It's Ollie, yeah.
Ollie's back on Ollie's back on the scene. Look, the thing about Ollie is he misses a lot of chances, doesn't he? But he's always in the right places to get a chance, isn't he? He's which goal was the first one? Was the
cross?
Back post.
Yeah. Oh,
that was a great ball from Onana. Onana switched the ball out to
brilliant ball.
It was a brilliant switch to play,
yeah.
Because Morgan Rogers had made a brilliant run down the right, and I thought that's where the ball was going, and Onana just switched it.
Yeah, look, again, Luca Dean for me, we've already talked about it, so I won't go too much into it. But he found himself quite high a lot during this game against Everton, didn't he? It just seemed like he was always right up against Ashley Young, I think, at the start of that game, because I think Ashley Young moved out to the other side a bit later, maybe. I can't remember. But the ball comes out to Luca Dean, and, he doesn't seem to be crossing as much from so deep anymore. Before he used to cross from quite deep into the box, but he's sort of going towards the byline this time and gets that cross in, and he has this knack of just getting that ball just that perfect height so that it's going to go above the defenders and above the keeper to go around to the back post, doesn't he? And I thought Ollie Watkins did a fantastic job jumping against I think it was Michael Keane.
Yeah.
Michael Keane. Is his name Michael? Yeah, Keane.
Yeah.
And kind of headed the ball off his head and into the goal. But, he called for the ball at the back post, and that's where he got the ball. Credit to Luca Dean for that. And Ollie's off the mark, isn't he? And I'm really happy for him because he didn't have a pre-season for us. He came back and he was kind of, you start from match one, and in the first game, I think he played around 60 minutes or something like that, and just didn't seem effective at all in that game, kind of just running around and doing not much. And then in the second game, I think he got around the same amount of time, but you could see that he had a chance or two, and it looked like he was getting some form back again. And in this game, it seemed like he knew what the assignment was. He was getting into the spaces, he got opportunities, and first touch is not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But you can see what he's trying to do, right? You can see that he's trying to get that form and get that confidence, and so he's off the mark again, and really happy for him, because he's a player that, if he doesn't get a chance or score a chance, his confidence level goes down. And to be honest, he's got a striker that's sitting on the bench there breathing down his neck while he's not in the best form. There's a striker sitting on the bench wanting to come and play, and so he's desperate to get goals. And so really happy for him for that first one.
It's a great time in the goal right now. We need it. I think you could see a confidence come over the whole team when we got that first. I think everyone knew that they were going to win at halftime now in a set play. So Tess brought it up earlier about Onana being taken off. I totally agree. I think it was the right sub at the right time, and I think Barkley was definitely the right man to bring in. It's not after the event I was saying that. I was thinking this to myself at halftime. I thought, but when I seen that Barkley was coming on, I thought, makes sense. Barkley can take ball in tight spaces and then shift it out wide. So we started the second half pretty well right now, but we could have been 3-1 down all of a sudden as well, because Calvert-Lewin just broke free, and he was one-on-one with Martinez. And he dilly-daddly, or Konza done so. Konza was lucky, didn't end up in his own net, but he did well to get back.
He caused us all the issues all day, didn't he, Calvert-Lewin? And like you say, he's breaking through, and this is what we were talking about earlier in the pod. I'm a little bit worried about that, just that strength and that marking of these strikers, these pacey strikers coming through. But Konza just snuck back in, and lucky he did, because I think Calvert-Lewin was pretty much rounding Martinez from the shot after the chance. They sort of pan behind Martinez, and you can sort of see him. I reckon he's beaten Martinez there. But yeah, just again, Konza, he's a Rolls Royce back there as well, isn't he? He's probably one of the best defenders in the league for me now. And just that's a massive, massive moment in a game again that sort of swings momentum. As if they go 3-1 up there, that's, for me, that's a long way back.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it kills us then, doesn't it? So we've got the goal just before halftime. Momentum swinging. Ross Barkley's come on, and for me that changed the pace of the game as well. And like we're saying, very different players, Onana and Barkley, but the game really, I feel like the tempo just slowed down a bit, and it was just more of an emphasis on controlling the ball with Tielemans and Barkley, and just not rushing things. I feel like, and I think that was perfect for us, because we've seen it before. You go behind the teams like Everton, who are, got the low block. They're going to defend. They're going to throw everyone behind the ball, and you tend to try and force it. But I thought Barkley played really well and didn't overplay his hand, and just controlled the ball for us and controlled that tempo. I thought it was a brilliant sub, and I was really glad to see Emery make the change, because, like you say, big decision, pulling a 50 million player off, but he made it. And I think Barkley was really good today. Very understated in what he did, but perfect for what that game needed.
Tess, Barkley is obviously, you're seeing a very different Ross Barkley to what we would have seen at Villa for many reasons, like from 2021. Different style of footballer, playing different positions, much more mature. He's not trying to be that superstar that he was before, where he felt that he had to light up the game and get bums off the seats. I think that year at Luton seems to have been just perfect for his career, because the one thing I'll say about Ross Barkley, and I said this as well in pre-season, that I noticed with Luton, from his time at Luton, where you're not going to see much of the ball and you need to make use of the ball when you have it. Ross Barkley's really after learning how to do the simple things really, really well. And we're starting to get the benefit of now, because that Luton can't afford to lose the ball. When they got it, they got to keep a hold of it because they're not going to see it for another 10, 15 minutes. And I think that year at Luton seems to have been ideal for his career at the stage of his career, because he's only 30. I mean, someone's like, he's still got a few years left, but he's slowed the pace down. He's not, because Ross Barkley at Villa was pick the ball up and drive, and we've enough of that. We've enough of that of Ramsey, Rodgers, Bailey. We've enough of that, the team with younger players. I think for what he is now as a footballer, it's starting to look like an absolute genius 5 million signing test, isn't it? Just even for someone to come in and change a game, like as Rhino said, to come in and just change the pace of the game and say, hey lads, all right, we don't need to score every time we attack. Like they're going to sit back now. Let's knock the ball left, right to spaces, get our movement in front of us. Me and Tillemans will find you eventually, And I thought it was a very mature performance, man. And what do you reckon, Tess?
Fantastic. It was a fantastic substitution because, as I said, Onana didn't have the best game, and when he brought Barkley on, what it allowed us to do was have more control of the game. Look, when Barkley was at Luton, as you mentioned, they wouldn't have had a lot of the ball, but when they did, he was looking after the ball and bringing other players into play. Ross Barkley isn't the quickest player of all players as well. Like he would have lost some pace over the years, and like he's 30 years old. I'm not saying that he's really slow, but he's not the quickest of players. But what he did today was he took control of the game in certain places with Tielemans to control and dictate the game at the pace that he wanted to, which just meant that while we had the ball, he didn't have to do 30-minute fast dashes and stuff. He was able to keep the ball, hold the ball, and just lay the ball off to whoever was in space. Then he would get more space for himself, and then he can control the game that way. He was dictating the game at the pace that he wanted to dictate the pace of the game, rather than what the opposition were making him do, which was fantastic to see. That made us better in the second half. I think I felt like we had more cohesion. He had a good relationship playing with Tielemans as well, because Tielemans has been obviously, like in my opinion, I didn't watch much of Tielemans before he came to us, to be honest. I know he was at Leicester and they'd won a Premier League and all these sorts of things, but I never really watched Tielemans. And he was younger then, but I watch him now and I'm like, you are my new Dougie. You are my Dougie replacement. I love what he does. I love the way that he plays the game. He smiles when he plays the game, which is brilliant to see. Like, you don't really get many players smiling when they play the game, but Ross Barkley, understated, just comes on, does a job, and was really accurate with his passing. I don't think he gave the ball away much that I can remember. And it was just a solid addition to the team and exactly what we needed for this particular game to steady our ship and for us to allow our attacking players to get forward and allow Tielemans to actually get forward a little bit more and try to get those difficult passes to hopefully get an assist or an attacking opportunity. So I thought Barkley was... Oh, you said 5 million, didn't you? Sorry. Yeah. I mean, geez, it's like in these days money, it's like £5, isn't it? 5 million, it's ridiculous, but he's an experienced footballer. He knows the Premier League and he's knuckled down and changed his game and adjusted his game to his experience now. And what a quality signing. And I'm really happy for him today because I thought he was really, really good.
Getting two players to control the ball in midfield like that when Everton had packed out the midfield, obviously, as Tess said, like it really changed everything for us. But what it also allowed us to do is that when we did spray the ball wide, we had lots of space to hit on the wings. McGinn and Digne suddenly had lots of space. Rodgers was starting to come in and double up with Ramsey, and it kind of led to the second goal where Youri Tielemans knocked the ball over Jack Harrison. Panicked because look at Digne. That's how pinned back we had him. Like they had their right midfielder pinned right back. And that's where he spent most of the game, to be honest, because Luka Dean stayed so high. And that's credit to Emery for not changing that way, even though we were behind in the game. So if anything, Emery pushed him further up. So Emery obviously believed he could win this game even at 2-1 down. So the ball came in. Harrison, I don't know. It's just one of them. Like you kind of feel sorry for him because he has to try and do something because Luka Dean is there. Ollie Watkins won't get an easier finish like for a long time, but he took it well, didn't he?
Yeah, and like you say, with that ball across the house, and if he leaves it go, then Luka Dean is in the box. He's got to do something. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't there, aren't you? And he gets something on it. And it's just one of them ones that it just dropped perfectly for Ollie Watkins. And I thought Ollie did well to sort of stand the keeper up a bit as well, though, before taking the shot off. Because, it's like if you haven't, he's had a bit of a barren spell. You tend to try and snatch at stuff a little bit. And we kind of did that throughout the game. Like Morgan Rogers was exactly the same. We're getting these good chances breaking through, and our guys were just bloody snatching at stuff. But it was good to see Watkins just sort of take his chance, sort of dip his shoulder a bit and just, finish it. So, and that's massive, isn't it? To go 2-2 after being 2-0 down, Villa Park lifts, we're attacking, we've got all the ball, they're pinned back, like you say, and we're just waves now just coming through. And again, Unai Emery changes the game again, throws on another 2 subs, and that's the most pleasing thing for me now. You look at that bench, and we've got players, we're bringing them on that can change games. And I think Ramsey had a good first half for me, but I think the second half probably he didn't get going. The second half,
passed him by the game really in the second half, didn't it?
Yeah. I thought him and Luca Dean. I was really enjoying watching them first half, but didn't quite get going second half. So I wasn't surprised to see Ramsey come off, but again, 2 subs just changed the game again, didn't they?
Yeah, brilliant. Tess, you're someone who spoke a lot about Watkins and Duran being able to play together, and Emery needs to maybe try it a bit more from time to time in certain games. What did you like what he did today? Like taking Ramsey off, putting Morgan Rogers onto the left, and then putting Duran and Watkins shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, and I like seeing, just before I go into Ollie and to John Duran, I like seeing Rogers play a little bit from the left, just slightly from the left. I don't know. I don't know why. I just feel like he looks really, really comfortable from that side. I know he's done a really good job so far, and he's kind of played through the mid, hasn't he? Like as a second striker sort of thing, he's played there. But on the left-hand side, I don't know, for some reason, I just feel like when I watch him play, he seems a little bit more fluid. We've got 2 strikers there, and they both. Ollie's going to always get minutes, but our second striker also needs to get minutes if we're going to compete in all these competitions, and needs to play in the Premier League for that level, to reach that level of playing in the Premier League, because it's only going to do you good when you're going to play the cup matches, which I imagine in terms of Carabao Cup and in terms of FA Cup, I think John Duran is likely to start in some of those earlier rounds, but you need him ready for Champions League as well. So they got 15 minutes to play together, and they just need to gel, don't they? They need to find a way to be able to gel together. If needs must, and you need both of them on, there's no point in having them so far apart, and they can't really connect. So I didn't see too much from them in terms of linking up play today, but there was only a short amount of time for them both being on the pitch, so it was just nice to see them both on the pitch at the same time, and hopefully as games go by, they'll get more minutes together to play together and build some sort of, I don't think they're going to be a partnership as such for us, in terms of, I don't think we play with 2 strikers, I don't think that's our game, but if need be, when we do have to, they have to have some sort of relationship and be able to play together. And I'm hoping that there isn't too much of a rivalry between the two, so that they can play together well. It's really interesting one, because John Duran seems like he's one of those players that does like to link play up and play with other people. You've seen him today when he came on, he was doing a few little link up plays with Rogers, wasn't he? And trying to touch and go and move around and get involved in the game. It'd be just interesting to see if they can do that with Ollie Watkins a bit more as well.
He's right now. He's definitely, you can see he's definitely trying to fit into the system more, Duran, isn't he? He's not just going out there to be a wild wicket. But I think if you're Unai Emery, you kind of think, well, we need to curb him a little bit and get him to be a bit more of a system player. But you also don't want to take that off the cuff away from him, because that's what makes him so brilliant. Do you want to talk us through the goal? Because just before the goal, Ian Maatsen made a brilliant run down the wing. They had a little 1-2 with Duran, and then he had a lovely little cutback, and Ollie Watkins kind of scuffed the shot for the hat-trick. Yeah. And that would have made it 3-2. And then he's on the pitch 7 minutes. John Duran, take it away right now. Talk us through it, because this is something to say.
What I loved about it, though, is Duran, he's working hard in that passage of play. Then just after you've spoken about, he's sort of in there. The ball has come loose, but he's fighting for it because he's sitting quite deep, isn't he? And the ball, I think Everton got the ball. He ends up getting possession back. We recycle it. Barkley ends up getting it. And this is what I loved about Barkley. Doesn't do anything crazy. Just lays it off to Duran and just, a simple pass. Lets Duran do the rest. And that hit is just unbelievable. Like the swerve away from Pickford is perfect. And like I think Test always says, he's like, we've got to start shooting more and from distance. And that man has just got a rocket of a left foot and just, It's mad to think where we were with him in pre-season to where we are now. And he's, it's like, I can't quite believe the turnaround. Like, and then he's bagging ones in top corners to win us games. And you're just like, this is him all over, isn't it? Just the crazy world of John Duran. But yeah, great finish. And just, I think there is a place for him as in starting games, 100%. And I think we're going to see it in the next few weeks where games are coming thick and fast. And I'm loving this competition for places as well. And I'm loving what you brought up earlier, but you see Rodgers is having a crack at Watkins. The role was reversed in the second half where Rodgers plays a ball in and it's in front of Watkins and he doesn't get there and Watkins is getting stuck in him. I like that. I know some people probably interpret that as being, I don't know.
They want to win. I love it.
Yeah, and these guys are competitive and they want to win. They want to score goals. And I think just having these guys, I think in particular Watkins, Rodgers, and Duran pushing each other, I think is only good for us because we know Rodgers can push into a centre forward role. These guys are hungry for goals and they want each other's places and they want to be scoring. They want to be the top man. I'm really enjoying the competition for places, and it's something we haven't had for a while, is it, up front? So I think it's going to be a good thing for us.
John Duran strikes this ball, and it's probably one of the sweetest strikes you're ever going to see because there was almost a touch of the outside of the boot when he hit it. But depending on where you were watching it, but the camera we would have been watching it or not, this sports just panned straight to Martinez, and Martinez is just in disbelief. I watched the interview after. Did you see Martinez's interview up this afternoon?
Yeah.
Really good. They asked Martinez about it. They're like, your reaction is as famous as the goal. And he was like, he had the perfect view of it, he was saying, because he's right behind on the other goal. And he said, I just couldn't believe the trajectory of the ball. He's like, there's no keeper in the world stopping that. Like, it's just amazing.
No keeper in the world was stopping that. And I've asked the question before. Can John Duran score a tap-in? Because he scores... It's all right if you can't score a tap in, you've got issues. But like he scores goals that get you off your seat, all the time. And not only is it all the time, it's whenever he comes on, and if he's not scoring a goal that's class, he's doing something to get you off your seat. And sometimes it might not be a positive thing in terms of, say, maybe last season where, he might have liked to get a shoulder or an elbow involved or something, just something, or a rash challenge. But he gets me off my seat. And I echo Emi Martinez when I say, because when I saw the goal, I could not, I was running around my room. I was running around my room because I couldn't believe what like you just like, oh my, what just happened here? Like it was unbelievable. What an unbelievable goal. And you're right, Rono. I do say often, we need players who can do stuff like that. We need players who will have a go from outside the box and mix things up a little bit, because sometimes I watch us and I understand the way that we play and I love the way that we play, but sometimes I just feel like there's opportunities where you're just outside the box and just crack it, just hit it from there and have a go and destabilize the other team, because they don't know what you're going to do then. With us, we kind of tend to have a certain way of playing. We don't get many goals from outside of the box. Well, not that I remember anyway at the moment.
Yeah,
but what a strike, and good on him as well. And I'm really happy for him. And just on a side note, I noticed the celebration with Morgan Rogers. It looks as though like Morgan Rogers has a really good relationship with John Duran
as well.
and Onana, which is really, really nice to see. And I don't really want to make this sound like a negative, but it appears there are a couple of players still in the team who aren't running and joining to celebrate with John Duran at the moment. I know maybe because of the things that may have happened in dressing rooms before and stuff, but from what I'm seeing and what the supporters are seeing is we're seeing a young player who's, as Emi Martinez said, who's come from South America, different weather, different language, all these sorts of things. And it looks to me as though he's really trying to make an effort to fit the structure in how we're playing. And he's definitely contributing to the team in terms of playing to score goals and win games. And he's trying to get involved with the crowd after games as well. He deserves a second chance, doesn't he? Like, he deserves an opportunity to be one of the whole group, because there's just little things that I saw afterwards that I've just felt like he's not. There are people that are not totally 100% behind him in terms of the group when I'm just looking with the celebrations and all that kind of stuff. So I hope that they're engaging him and trying to keep him happy and helping him along, because I think he can be an absolute quality player for us, and he just offers something different and refreshing and gets you off your seat. Like, Villa Park was rocking. Like, I saw what's his name, Max, I think his name's Max, and he had a video of being in the crowd at the time, and when that goal went in, the face and the limbs that was going on in that, I think they're in the whole end, it was absolutely balmy, and that's what Villa fans are living for. I think it's one of the best goals I've seen for us for a long time. You know, like, we had the McGinn goal, didn't we? And one of my old favourite goals was a goal that Thomas Hitzelsberger scored many years ago. I don't know if it was at Villa Park or not, but one of my favourite ever goals was a Hitzelsberger goal, and this was like up there, like all the way up there. What a goal!
I wouldn't mind, like, you know, he is fun to watch, because at 5 minutes later he's trying to score a bicycle kick.
I was just like, I don't know why. Sorry. Yeah, I just felt like I had to say something really important about him, and he's making an impact for all of us, I think. And I thought I'd just say so today.
Very good, yeah. Because 5 minutes later, he takes the ball in the chest and tries to score a bicycle kick. So he this boy is fun to watch. Right now, in true Villa fashion, though, we nearly threw it away again. Calvert-Lewin breaks through and rattles the crossbar. I mean,
it was 2 minutes later. I think it was 2 minutes on the clock, and it was just.
Thankfully, Calvert-Lewin couldn't finish his dinner, because he should have hat-trick this thing. And I think it would have been a travesty if we dropped points in this game, because I don't think there's any question we deserve the 3 points.
Would have killed us, wouldn't it? And like you say, after just scoring a goal like that, to go up the other end and then concede again and be 3-3 would have just would have killed us. And things like that, we know what it's like. You know, it kills momentum going forward into other games as well, then, doesn't it? When you get sucker punched like that, it can drain the confidence. So, I'm just happy Calvert-Lewin, like you said, a bit of an off day in front of goal. And again, though, it's just that ball through, isn't it? And something we have got to tighten up going forward. So we'll be playing some quality teams coming up, obviously, in Champions League. And, you know, you get punished with, those sorts of chances. So hopefully we can tighten it up a little bit.
Tess, there's 2 things I want to talk to before we wrap up, because we're going to be with time now, but there's 2 things I want to discuss before we finish, so we'll just have a brief touch on it. First of all, lads, you forget how football can touch you emotionally, because you get so much into the game, and I have absolutely no problem admitting that when I seen Emi Buendia coming off the bench, I actually got a bit emotional. I didn't cry, but I was just like, it made me really, really, really happy, because I felt so happy for him, because you forget how long he's been out. It was the Thursday night of our first Saturday, like the first league game was at 5:30 on the Saturday against Newcastle, and he'd done his ACL on the Thursday in training. Brilliant to see him come on and get involved and get touches, and just I don't know what your thoughts on it, but I think kind of gives you a bit of a slap back down to earth with football, and you see that, and it reminds you how attached you can get to these players, like, without ever knowing them, you know.
Yeah. No, but there's different though for people like Emi Buendia though. Because I think he's been out I'd say close to 15 months, give or
Yeah,
take.
yeah. It would have been August last year. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
give or
we'll be
take
close to
15 months.
15 months. Yeah.
Emi Buendia has been out. And during that whole time, I think he was saying that, you know, Emery and stuff was happy for them to be around the group once they were able to be around the group, etc. And he was, and not only that, like he's been really good with the supporters, and he gets involved, you know, in the club in terms of doing outreach for the kids and foundations and all this kind of stuff. And you know, when I didn't realize he was actually coming on, because, you know, normally the commentator normally says, oh, and blah 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 is coming on all of a sudden, but I didn't hear that or see that. But then I saw him stood up like on the sideline, and I was like, come on, man, get in. Like it was a really, really nice moment to see him. When did I see him play last time? I saw him play
He scored 2 goals in the under-21s there last week.
I didn't watch that game though. I saw him come on. I saw him. I think he was maybe in a preseason, maybe at the end of a preseason friendly or something. Like I'd seen him come on. He did a few minutes or whatnot, but that was just good as at that moment. But to see him come on at Villa Park and get some minutes means that he's almost ready for football and ready to compete. But just to have him back, knowing that he's available to play if possible, is great news for the club, because I feel like it's a new signing. We've got somebody who plays in that number 10 role, and when he's on his game, Emi Buendia, he can be unplayable. He'll be a really good asset for the team, and I'm just delighted for him and his family. You know, good to be back, and the standing ovation that he got was well deserved, and I'm looking forward to more standing ovations for some of our other players to come back as well.
Absolutely. Right, now the last thing I wanted to wrap up, wanted to touch off before we wrap up, just quickly. This week we have our first Champions League game in our lifetime. I just wanted to ask you, what does it mean to you? What will it mean to you listening to the Champions League anthem bashing out as we line up against Young Boys on Wednesday morning here?
Oh, it's everything, isn't it? And like you say, first time in our lifetime. And to be honest with you, a few years ago, I didn't think we'd ever be in this position. Like, you know, we go back to the years we were in the Championship and Tony Jar and how bleak it was. And to be in this position now, I'm still pinching myself, to be honest. You know, third in the league currently, Champions League game, was it Tuesday? So Wednesday morning over here. Massive draw for us as well. Like, you know, some of the teams we're going to be playing, and just to be in that competition now, just what we've done in the short space of time is remarkable, and full credit to the owners and everyone at the club, isn't it? Really, like, we're, you know, pulling us from where we were to into Champions League. Like, I still can't get over it, to be honest with you. And I'll be, just watching the game Wednesday morning and just, you know, it's going to be quite emotional, really, I reckon, watching Villa line up for Champions League. And I was sort of talking to my brother and just saying, like, you know, you just got to enjoy these times and these moments, because who knows what's going to happen in the future. So just enjoy these ones now. And I'm really excited for the Champions League, and super proud Villa are in there and representing, you know, and can't wait for it.
Tess, with the Champions League there, as Rhino said, you really just have to kind of enjoy the moment, because I know we like to give one or two little Twitter bashes here and there each week in the episode, particularly myself. But I see a lot of comments on Twitter there recently say it means nothing if we don't get back in there next year. I mean, come on, we haven't kicked the ball in the Champions League yet. Yeah. You're all right. So I think the Rhino is absolutely spot on. You just need to enjoy it. And I ask you the same question, Tess. What does it mean to you Sunday, Wednesday morning now to see them line up? Because, as Rhino says, it's not something, and I don't think even the most ambitious fan would have said there 5-6 years ago that we'd be in this moment.
I mean, honestly, it's just going to mean I'm going to go to work really, really tired. It's going to be 2:30 in the morning, I believe, for me up here in Brisbane. It might be the same for you, Rhino, if there's no sort of daylight saving. So even worse for you, Spud. Like you,
it's 1:45 in the morning for me on a school night. Which it's the game we play. So
it's going to be interesting, but you can't miss it, can you? I mean, you can't miss Villa being back in the Champions League and just going to be able to perform in this competition after a long time out. I haven't seen Villa play in the Champions League. I mean, I wasn't a football supporter. I didn't support any football team until early teens anyway. So I was definitely not aware of the history before that. But obviously when you find your team, you learn the history and stuff. And so for me, it's going to be the first time. And I can't wait, you know. I've been to the shop and everything, man. I've like got my shirts and stuff. Now I've got too many. I don't know which one I'm going to wear on the night and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, look, I'm totally excited. I'm happy for all the boys that are going to get to play Champions League football for the first time. And for those who have played Champions League before, they'll be able to use their experience to help the other players. And it's really good for Unai Emery because he deserves it based on what he's done in his time at Aston Villa. He deserves to be playing in that competition. He deserved to be playing in the Conference League. And we had a season of playing in the Conference League, which gives us experience of playing to more than one game per week, you know, playing 2 games a week, sometimes 3. We know what it's like to play in Europe against other teams, and so we've got a little bit of experience there, and hopefully we can take that and have a really good go. I'm not expecting us to pull up trees and win the Champions League, but I hope we go out and have a really good time and have some really good performances and see where we get to after the first 8 games.
Definitely, and I think the point you made there about the Conference League, I think that is huge because everyone's saying, oh, look what happened to Newcastle, but I think Newcastle are very different to us because they didn't have a season in the Champions League, they didn't have Unai Emery, and the big difference, I think, as well for me is that, like, going into the conference, like, that was all the likes of Kanza and Watkins, that was all their first year in Europe, so now they're going to be much wiser about how long, because every player is different. Some players take 3 or 4 days to recover. Some players take 2 days. Kanza and Watkins are now going to go into this knowing exactly what they have to do to be ready for Wolves on Saturday after a game, or how to recover and what works best for them as a team. Of course, there's a couple of new lads in or whatever, but Onana's got Champions League experience. Barkley's got Champions League experience, you know. So I think the conference last year will stand us in massive stead, and obviously Unai Emery's experience, this is his 16th year in a row in Europe as a manager, so there's absolutely nobody else who'd want in charge going into this campaign. Just for the listeners, we're not 100% sure, but at the moment it won't be Wednesday night because obviously we have to get up during the night to watch the Champions League, so I don't think Wednesday night will be much of a chance for the review unless you want the zombie version. But Thursday night we might do a review, lads. We'll discuss it later on the week, so the listeners, one of us will release that in socials and let you know if that's going ahead on Thursday night. Tess, do your thing, mate. A quick one for the listeners and where to find the podcast.
Yeah, so I just want to say a huge thank you to all of those people who have been sending us comments and liking and subscribing on the YouTube channel, but also for those who are leaving comments on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you for all the comments and the feedback. You can find us at Villa Pride Down Under on Instagram and at Pride Down Under on X. We also have a Facebook page, so if you just search for our name on the Facebook page, you'll find us there. If you want to give individual follows, please do. I'm at Cuban_Knight, KNIGHT, on all of the socials. And yeah, just thank you for all the feedback. We're loving doing the podcast, and delighted that we're finally getting some interaction with some of the Australian supporters groups as well. And hopefully, as I mentioned to one of them, that we will try to get one of them on in the coming months to have a conversation.
Rhino, anything to wrap up on that?
Just for me, get me at Rhino_Watkins, and like Tess said, loving the interaction with everyone. Jump into our fantasy football league if you can as well, and try and give me a chance of going up the league a little bit because I'm not doing too well at the minute, but that's all right. But yeah, just loving it, and yeah, get in touch with us. Any questions or anything, just reach out to us.
Yeah, brilliant. And just with the fantasy football, I don't want to be saying anything now, but at AVFC Spud is number 2 in the league at the moment. So I just just thought I'd leave that there.
Yeah, I haven't even checked it, to be honest.
Guys, we say it every week. it doesn't cost you anything. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. It makes a huge difference to the podcast. Gets more on board. We just want to interact with as many of the fans as we can. It's growing all the time, and we thank you very much for that. And we move on to Wednesday morning or Tuesday night back in the UK and Ireland against Young Boys of Switzerland Bern. It's an epic, massive, monumental moment for the club. So we look forward to you all tuning in Thursday night to hear our thoughts on that game. And we're going to wrap it up there now and up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
And just be careful when you're Googling Young Boys.
At the Wankdorf Stadium.